Hey everybody, take 4. Phones ringing, dogs are barking, whatever. Morgan SLV here. 6/20/2011 is today's date. Gold 1539, silver 35.87. Silver holding in the mid 30s. I don't know. I would have expected it to go down a little bit lower than that. Based on everything that I've been reading, and the volatility of silver is quite high. But there it is. I'm gonna get off that for a second. I just have, first of all, my son's business, as you know, SmallEngineAdviceForDummies.com. It keeps me pretty busy now. I actually work for my son, sort of. He's 17. I'm gonna give a shout out to all you young folks out there. You have something that you like to do it, man. Frickin' jump in with both feet and make it happen. Who knows, you might make some great income out of it, such as my son, and go on from there. If you guys have any questions on how I got him started in it or whatnot, just leave me something in my inbox. So listen to this statement. I'm listening to a gal. She's interviewing Jim Rogers, and this was her statement. If we don't raise the debt ceiling, i.e. the U.S., if we don't raise our debt ceiling, we may well lose our AAA rating. So how does that work out? So let's figure this out for a second. You're loaning me money. You realize that the only way I'm going to pay you back is probably by borrowing more money. And if I don't, and I've reached the limit of my credit card, so to speak, to be able to go out and tax my ATM or whatever and get cash out of my credit card. So my statement to you is, well, I won't have quite a good a chance to pay you back unless I can get the credit card to up my limit. Well, eventually the credit cards company is going to say, well, gee, you only make $75,000 a year. We've got you're over your debt limit right now. We can't raise it. So what happens to the person holding the bag for all my useless notes, my IOUs? If we don't raise the debt ceiling, we may well use our AAA rating. We're broke. The country is broke. And so when I heard that, I just thought to myself, holy crap. As far as inflation, once you let the genie out of the bottle, how do you stop it? Look at Japan with their meltdown over there on their crisis they got going on, the fuel rods and whatnot burning up. It's like attempting to stop a river, right? Once there's momentum, once water is 8 pounds a gallon, once you get a few thousand gallons of water per minute moving, it's awfully hard to stop. You might get lucky and redirected for a while, but eventually it'll mow you down. And that's where I think we are right now. The inflation deal is getting crazy. I'm telling you right now, people, you need to think outside the box. You need to get other streams of income. And I understand that if the shit hits the fan, everything's going to stop. I understand that. But the bottom line is, this could take years. I know none of us want to really think about that, but I know I don't. I'd rather have it, flip the switch today, and while we're all young enough to make this stuff happen, let's do it right now. But you need to be prepared. Politicians. Jim Rogers was talking about politicians. He goes, I don't know if this is true or not. He said that the average politician, they excelled in recess at school. They've never had a real job. They don't understand how the real world works. And my God, they're the ones running us. There was a statement that I heard when I worked for PG&E. It said, "We, the many, led by the few, are qualified to do most anything with just about nothing." And that's really how it is. If you think about it, those of us in the private sector, we have to be pretty ingenious to make things happen. We don't have a government wiping our butt every 10 minutes and upping all of our upping our pay and vacations and the sick leave, and we do it on our own. I kind of like that, because when the S hits the fan, we're going to be used to doing it on their own, and they're not. As far as college, he was talking about Princeton. It's a $300,000 bill. I don't know which degree he was talking about. It's $300,000. He goes, I just don't see that penciling out. Jim Rogers is saying this. I don't see that being you being able to recoup your money fast enough to make that worth it. I have a dim view of colleges these days. I understand that they're needed. Bottom line is this. I'm very, very up on learning. I like to learn. I'm not handing some dude, $1,000 a month to teach me useless crap. I don't know. I'm kind of down on that. Another thing Jim Rogers said is, do what you want because you're probably going to be really good at it. He said, if my daughter, wanted to be a florist, I would bite my tongue, but I would hope that one day she would be on the New York Stock Exchange with the largest floral company, on the planet. And so I have really taken that to heart. My 13-year-old plays guitar, and I said, look, if this is what you want to do, let's go for it. So we went out and bought him a new guitar, the amp, and all that. And lo and behold, and by the way, I pay him $1 a riff. For every riff that I can tell which song he's playing, he gets $1. And I don't care if it's the whole song, half a song, 10 notes of the song. I don't care. As long as and lo and behold, now I can go to work and say, hey, learn such and such song by Johnny Cash or Led Zeppelin or, and I come home and he learns it. So it's pretty cool. Doing what you want I think is important. I've not cast my shadow like my father did on me. He didn't want to hear about my dreams. I was going to be a marine engineer, and that didn't work out. I didn't want to go to that school. There was no women at that school, and when the hormones kick in, I'm looking at there was literally one woman at the California Maritime Academy when I went there. That's not going to work out. So anyway, bottom line is, do what you want. If anybody has any questions on how I started my son's website with him, please leave it in my inbox. I will definitely try to help you guys out. I feel it's my responsibility as a good human. All right, joke of the day. I got kind of a kick out of this one. Sex is not the answer. Sex is the question. Yes is the answer. Morgan SLV out.